Hey, 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 what do you say? Welcome to Till Time with Hope. I am the host, Hope Aguilar, and today, y'all, it's just going to be me. I wanted to have a guest, but due to folks scheduling and things of that nature, we'll probably won't have anybody on until next Tuesday, and hopefully the Tuesday after that, because it is September, and September is Ovarian Cancer Awareness Month. So I'm feeling like we should have one every week with a guest or with just Hope in this Till Time with Hope podcast. So hopefully you're not going to be disappointed with today's episode because it is going to be more about my story, the reason that I advocate, the reason why I have a podcast, the reason that when I'm out there driving for Uber, I am giving symptom cards. I am sharing my story. I am giving even my business card to go to my website, not just to get hopefully have people read my story in length with my book, Hope Through Cancer, not just for blogs that I might write from time to time, but also to click onto the podcast button so people can be more understanding of what this disease is, the insidious, horrible disease of ovarian cancer, and why it's so important that we continue to get that story out there. Not just my story, of course, but the stories of all those that want to share. We've already had Kimberly on. I'm hoping to get just as many people as I can, and those I know personally that I've met in this journey when I was over at Washington, D.C. for the Ovarian Cancer Research Foundation conference that they used to have every month. Unfortunately, I think I've spoken about this before, but they're not doing those conferences in person just yet. Again, due to COVID and how everything stopped because of COVID, and being in person just didn't seem to be practical for a while. They're still doing them, mind you, and I'm probably going to put a link to that in the description for this episode because they do wonderful things. The Ovarian Cancer Research Foundation, the National Ovarian Cancer Alliance, which the one in Georgia was with the previous guest, Kimberly, who is a big time part of that. And there are national ovarian cancer alliances all throughout the states. I'm not sure if they have one in actually every state. That's good information for me to find out, to be honest. I have not done my research on that. I have met, let's see, the Kimberly in Georgia. I met somebody in Wisconsin. And there are people that I know on social media that I keep up with in different states. But again, I don't know if there is a National Ovarian Cancer Alliance in every single 50 states rather, and if there is any in Puerto Rico, in the Dominican Republic, in Samoa, and I'm going to do my best to get that information to disseminate to the audience. And if there isn't, let's try to find a way to see why not, and if there is just no need in every state. I think there is. Personally, I think there is definitely a need for every state in every country all around the world to have some ovarian cancer organization. I know Australia has one. I know that England has one, but I know that there are many that don't have any. And they may say, well, we don't have the prevalence of ovarian cancer isn't as big as breast cancer or some of the other cancers out there. And I totally get that. While at the same time, one is too much. In my opinion, IMO, one person getting ovarian cancer is too much. And so because even if there are a small number of women that get diagnosed with ovarian cancer, it's still important to get that awareness out there. It's important to have organizations to help newly diagnosed women who might not know how to navigate the system of what it's like to go through ovarian cancer and what are the signs and symptoms of ovarian cancer, so we can get that out to anyone and everyone across the globe, y'all. That is my hope. That is my goal. That is my desire. And I know I'm not alone. There are wonderful, amazing people, both male and female, out there. As Kimberly said in the previous episode, there are men that are part of this organization because somebody they know died of the disease and they have been touched in a way where they want to give back and contribute to helping more women know what ovarian cancer is, but also in the hopes that lives will be saved. And that's what it's about. That's what I will be doing. And I will be trying to research all the countries that do something for ovarian cancer awareness, all the states that do something for ovarian cancer awareness, and how maybe to flip the script and find out how we can help other countries, even if that's possible. And I think it is. There was a wonderful woman that passed away, unfortunately, last year. She was out of Canada and she had created something about like the signs and symptoms, a card. And I hope to talk about her in length and in a future episode. My hope is actually to talk about in length about the amazing women that have already passed away. She's one of them out of Canada. She was doing amazing things for advocacy there in Canada and abroad. And so it doesn't matter that I'm in Texas or that she was in Canada because cancer doesn't discriminate. So we should do our best to help all people, all women, regardless of where they reside. In addition to that, I'd like to talk about other women that have passed away that I have personally gotten to know. Janice was amazing. Kimberly was amazing. And others were amazing. And I say the word amazing because I think that's such a powerful word, amazing. When you meet people that are amazing, they stick out. There's something special about them, and all these women were amazing that are no longer with us, that have unfortunately passed away due to ovarian cancer. Janice was one of the ones that I met in Washington, D.C. when I first went out there, and I dragged my mom with me on a road trip all the way to Niagara Falls. We stopped in Tennessee. We stopped, I think, was it Maryland? We definitely did the Niagara Falls, though. That was pretty dope, and it was a pretty awesome experience to have with my mother. And then we were in Washington, D.C., and it was my first time as well as my mom's first time, and it was a wonderful experience. I ended up sitting down with a wonderful woman named Janice and another wonderful woman named Pat, both amazing women. And my mother, of course, Avi, was an amazing woman as well. But those two have also passed away, Janice and Pat. And I'll never forget my first conference, and I'll never forget those two beautiful women. And it's interesting how they are gone and I'm still here. The interesting thing is, there's just too many, sadly. It's not interesting as it is sad, is that there's just so many women that have come and gone because of this insidious disease. And so that's why we have to continue to be the voice for those who have no voice anymore due to the fact that they're not here. So that's what I'm trying to do. And I will talk more in length about Pat and Janice one day when I think I have the emotional strength to talk about these women that have passed away, because there are just too many of them, y'all. And it's sad, while at the same time it's what motivates me to keep moving forward, to keep sharing my story, and to hopefully share the stories of many others out there that are still with us despite the cancer diagnosis, or that are just out there doing crazy awesome stuff for advocacy all over the globe, all over the states specifically, because I know them specifically. I look forward to having them on the show, on this podcast, to share all the great stuff they're doing. So moving on from that, I just wanted to read a little bit of an excerpt from my book, Hope Through Cancer. And it's chapter 1. Chapter 1, November 2011. Denial. Hope, your stomach looks a little big. I don't think I'll ever forget those words from my mom. Even though I didn't listen to her words, or rather take them seriously at that time, I know I'll forever remember them. The more I relive what happened, the more I realize I was in denial. I didn't want to see it as denial, but denial it was. I remember telling my mom that I was just bloated. After telling her that, I didn't think much more about it. I was still getting over a rash from an allergic reaction to some medicine I had taken a few weeks before. Because of that rash, I wasn't jogging as much, and I guess I blamed that for the bloating. I even blamed the rash as to why I wasn't eating as much. I wasn't doing it all on purpose, being in denial, that is. I mean, that's how I see denial. It's not like the people who are in denial are truly aware of what they are not seeing or doing, or at least it was that way for me. It was Thanksgiving 2011 when my mom brought to my attention that my stomach looked a little big. That was over 2 years ago, and at times it seems a little fuzzy. Don't get me wrong, it's not that I've forgotten it. But that's not the case. It just seems in a way as if it was really just a dream, or maybe even a movie I had seen before. But it wasn't a dream, and it sure wasn't any movie I'd ever seen. It was life. Something happened to me, inside of me, and I chose to ignore the warning signs. My body was trying to talk to me, but I fell deaf, consciously anyway, to a language that we humans seem to ignore more than heed. During the week that went by from when my mom first noticed my unusually larger belly to the week I moved into my mom's and stepdad's house, around 8 days in all, my body was becoming more and more unhappy, but I was too preoccupied to notice. I had been working part-time for a friend in Houston. That friend and I were not getting along when it came to work issues. Because I was renting a room at her house, things ended up being uneasy between the two of us. It was also at that time that I was getting over a serious a breakup with someone I believed was my soulmate and I planned to marry. In addition to those things, I was making plans to move to China for a teaching job. I had a lot of things going on. It was stressful as well. The hurt that I was feeling from the relationship that had ended had me ready to start a new chapter in my life. China was going to be the beginning of that chapter. I was excited that I'd soon be exploring the new country and its people. Little did I know that I would indeed be starting a new chapter, but one that didn't involve China, and a chapter that I never imagined would happen to me. In that week's time, I hardly ate, and in ways I was forcing myself to eat even though I wasn't hungry. Whatever I attempted to eat, my stomach didn't like. When I went to the bathroom, I had diarrhea. I found myself needing to urinate more too, which I blamed on aging. Bladders get smaller as we age, is what I thought. My body started complaining more, but I shrugged it off as something not serious. I figured a little internet research on my symptoms was better than going to the doctor. Those symptoms didn't just involve diarrhea and an urgent need to urinate, but also included feeling pain when I ate. It was as if whatever I ate was getting stuck on the way down. I read a lot of things that could possibly be the problem. One of the possible problems was that maybe I had bad toxins in my body. I read that the best way to get rid of bad toxins was through colon cleansing. I didn't have the best eating habits. My diet had consisted of mostly fast food, and because of that, I figured why not give it a try. So I went to a Whole Foods store and picked up a little bottle of colon cleanser pills. I thought if I just took the pills as directed, they'd do their job and I'd be better in no time. But that didn't happen. In fact, things got worse. I started to feel something in my stomach. It wasn't hard, but rather loose, as if it were moving under my right rib area. I admit that for a second, I did wonder if something was seriously wrong. But that second came and went, and I tried not to think about it again. Denial? You betcha. So that was chapter 1, maybe a little bit more than an excerpt. But I hope it intrigued you enough to want to read more about my story, to hear more about my story. And with time, through this podcast, I'll share more of my story because there's not just one part of it. Just like even though I had a wonderful time interviewing Kimberly, she has way more to her story. I mean, she wrote a whole book, Pieces of Me, that explains a lot more than just what she went through with ovarian cancer. That said, the story of what she went through with ovarian cancer can't be summarized in a 30 to 40 minute podcast episode, nor can it be from me. And we could go for 2 years of interviewing people throughout the years and me sharing just a little bit here and there of my story, and it still wouldn't be enough time to share everything that I've gone through just with cancer. We're not talking about any of the other health things that may be going on with yours truly. We're just talking about cancer because it hasn't been just one time. It was once and then a second time in 2019 when it came back after almost 7 years. And then when it came back in 2020 and I went through it again, as I tell people. There are so many things that book, Hope Through Cancer, talks about. So many things that I can't believe I was able to write it all down. That I didn't just forget it all or blurt it out of my memory because it was just so darn emotional. And I'm just so grateful to God because He's given me such a great memory. And there are just so many things that I have such great memory about. I have had friends that kind of make jokes about, like, I have the memory of an elephant at times, which is crazy considering I've been through 24 chemo treatments altogether, and I've had just so much happen in the last almost 13 years. And yet I can still remember it as if it was yesterday. I can still put pen to paper. Well, not pen to paper because, you wouldn't want to see my handwriting, y'all. But I can type it all out on my laptop and I still have those memories. And I'm hoping to continue to write my story with a second book that follows Hope Through Cancer, a sequel, if you will, because I do believe that the audience, should know where has Hope's life gone since 2014 when I finished that book, and to give readers an understanding of how horrible this disease is and why we push for people to know what this disease is. Why is it important for us to keep pressing the symptoms and keep sharing the stories? Why? And the simple answer is because lives can be saved. If you know what to look out for early, then the hope is that you won't have to go through what I went through. You won't have to go through what Kimberly went through. You won't have to go through what all those that may hopefully come on my show and share their stories go through. If we can prevent that, that's a wonderful thing. And maybe, just maybe, it makes all of what we've gone through worth it, because that means that we could possibly save lives. And that is, save lives is the goal. And not just save lives, I would add also help with women not being diagnosed later. So even if they live like me, right? I've lived almost 13 years despite having this disease 3 times, despite having a late diagnosis because of denial. Despite the statistics, despite everything, I'm still here. But the hope is to give women the knowledge to know what to look out for so they can listen to their body earlier, so when they go to the doctor, worst case scenario, it will be an early stage diagnosis where they won't have to have all the reproductive organs being taken out, where there might be able to even have children still with keeping one ovary in, where they won't have to go through horrible surgeries, where they won't have to go through intensive horrible chemotherapy. That's the hope. It's saving lives, but it's also helping with their life not being so terribly insane with surgeries and chemotherapy, in the not knowing what could happen, the unknown of, am I going to live through this? Because early diagnosis definitely gives you a greater chance of survival. I believe the last stat I read was early diagnosis for ovarian cancer gives you a huge percentage of living a long life, maybe 95%. And I'll look at and I'll show the statistics and put that in the details. Whereas if you get late stage, which was what I was, stage 3C, you have a greater chance of not making it even to the 5-year mark. I think it's a 55% chance, 55, so 45% chance of not making it to the 5-year mark, I believe. Now, yours truly grew up with a little bit of dyslexia, so forgive me if I got that backwards, but I'm pretty sure the percentage of not living to the 5-year mark, not making it to the 5-year mark, is greater than making it to the 5-year mark. So that is what we're trying to prevent. When I say we, me, all the wonderful people that are part of their organizations, wherever there are organizations, and that's the hope also, is to help maybe find places that don't have some and maybe start some. If that's possible, I mean, God give us strength and the determination and the tenacity to make that happen. But even just talking about it, even a podcast, even sharing a symptom card, even sharing a snippet of one's story can touch a life. It's not, oh, look at me. Oh, pay attention to me. Oh, feel sorry for me. Pity me. If you know me, if you've ever met me, I am not about that, y'all. Never have, never will, It's not my cup of tea. I'm not about getting all the attention. It is hard for me to make the spotlight on me. Real talk, I don't even like going on Snapchat and putting, spotlights out there with me doing a video, because I'm just not one that's like, I don't know, likes to be in the limelight. I don't, I've got my insecurities like most people do. And I feel like I don't sound great. I don't always look great. So going on social media, Snapchat, Insta, Facebook, and putting these videos out there and these, pictures out there to put the spotlight on ovarian cancer by talking about the podcast, by talking about my book, by talking about my story. It's not easy. But I'm doing it. Why? Why am I doing it? Because that's what you got to do today. You've got to put yourself out there. You've got to be vulnerable, put yourself out there in front of the camera and talk about it. And that is the best way today in the digital era of getting that advocacy out there, getting that story out there, promoting the things that you would want people to know about. I'm not out there doing a silly dance, and I can be quite silly and I can dance and I can probably do a silly dance, but it's not about going viral for a silly dance. It's going out there, and whether I go viral or not, it's about making a difference in this world with the time that I have. And as uncomfortable as it can be, I do it. I mean, I like to have fun, I like to laugh, and I like to be goofy and silly. Hashtag dork for life. As uncomfortable as I am showing my face and doing a video and things of that nature that is for the cause of ovarian cancer advocacy, I will continue to do it for as long as I feel I need to be doing it in order to hopefully make a difference. And it's probably, things, unfortunately, the way it works, I say unfortunately because things don't always work the way you think they should. Like, talking about one's personal life, if somebody is willing to share intimate, emotional things with the world and they're willing to put it out on a book or put it out on a podcast, I think that is worthy and warranted of attention. But we also live in a world where people don't want to talk about things that make them scared. They don't want to talk about things that make them feel uncomfortable, i.e. cancer, right? So silly dances and silly lip syncing music or dialogue, those things kind of sell. Comedy sells, of course, which I love comedy. So laughter is medicine, hashtag facts. While at the same time, why can't we also have millions of people, thousands or millions of people tune in to these stories of amazing, courageous, strong women and men who have been touched by ovarian cancer, whether that's a man who has lost his wife, his mother, his daughter, his sister, his grandmother, his friend, colleague, or a woman who has lost somebody close to them as well, or a woman that's gone through it. And again, it's not about Hope, okay? It's not about Hope Aguilar, the host of Till Time with Hope. It is about the stories. I am just one story. One of, unfortunately, not many that I have met in this journey. I have not met a lot of women. And if you are out there, ladies, please contact me at tilltimewithhope@gmail.com. I would love to have you on my show, because if I can have the stories of those who have made it with late stage ovarian cancer and they've continued to live and continue to thrive despite the late stage diagnosis, and cancer hasn't come back or it's come back twice or three times like me, I want to hear those stories too. But I have not met them. I have not read any of those stories. And they could be out there for sure, but statistically, we are far and few between. I actually just found out that one of my friends that I met at the DC conference, she had been in remission for 11 years. So she was diagnosed, then she had a second, so she had the first recurrence, and she was good for 11 years. And it's now returned after 11 years, which is kind of what we thought would be unheard of. We used to grow up hearing that if you make it to the 5-year mark, you're golden. If you make it to the 5-year mark, you are considered cancer-free. But now, like Kelly said in a couple of episodes before, it has become a chronic disease, unfortunately. And I'm going to use maybe unfortunately a lot in this episode, because that is the word for today, unfortunately. Women are being diagnosed in late stages. Ovarian cancer is becoming a chronic disease. But we don't want that. We want it to be early stage diagnosis because you know the symptoms, you know the signs, you've listened to the stories, you've listened to this podcast, you've been given a symptom card, you have been annoyed even by people talking about it. And guess what? That is okay. Be annoyed. Be annoyed, because if you're annoyed, it's still going to be in the back of your head, y'all. And you're going to be like, oh my gosh, that funny, goofy, annoying at times woman named Hope, who has survived cancer 3 times. She told me about this. I remember this. I'm not feeling good, or my friend is not feeling good, and I remember those symptoms because that is okay to me. That is okay for me. That is super duper good. Because you know what? I used to always say, like, I love making people laugh. And I kind of was like, I love making people laugh so much. Even if they're laughing at me, they're laughing. And people are like, well, I don't like people laughing at me. And I mean that in a innocent kind of way. I have made people laugh. I always, not always, but when those times come when there's somebody in my Uber and they're like, oh my God, you are so funny. And they're laughing and their gut is hurting. I had that happen with 3 people in my car last weekend. I love that. That just makes me feel so good that I can bring laughter and joy to someone. And I tell them, you're getting a twofer. You're getting a ride and a comedy show at the same time. I mean, how many Uber drivers can offer you that? I'm just saying. But seriously, I did always believe that if I can make people laugh, even if they're laughing at me, I'm okay with that because they are laughing and laughter is medicine. But don't get crazy, of course. So the same is kind of with this. If I have to say and talk and spread the awareness for the rest of my life and it's to the point of annoying you, I'm okay with that. So be it. Because that annoyance may be the very thing that could save your life or somebody you love. That annoyance from any of the people out there doing their fantastic jobs with advocacy. I'm okay with that. They're okay. I'm pretty sure they'd be okay with it because it could save a life or lives. And that's what I wanted to share with y'all today. Thank you for giving me a listen. I have new listeners that I have met by giving my business card and symptom cards to. Thank you for adding me on your social media. Thank you for listening, taking time, and time is precious, right? Time is a gift. It's precious. We definitely never going to have enough time. But thank you for tuning in. Please keep coming back. Please share with a friend or 100 or 200. It's whatevs. And please continue to look forward to being educated with ovarian cancer and what it's about. And if you want to buy my book, Hope Through Cancer, of course, go to www.hopeaguilar.com where you can get a copy of it. I'll always be plugging that. Not because of any money. I don't even sell it for very, very much. It's like $10, y'all, plus shipping. But because of the story that you might enjoy reading, knowing that the end is a good ending thus far, which is me still being here. My stomach is growling because I haven't eaten. So if any of that noise comes out on this podcast, and if I can't delete it, my apologies. Yep, that's all I got. So I don't want to keep doing any because I'm gonna have to go in there and delete those and that takes a lot of time. It's worth it though, because having this podcast is exciting, and it really does put a pep in my step to be doing this. I will be sending a lot of information on my social medias, my Snapchat, my Instas, my Facebook throughout the month. Teal is the deal. Happy Teal Tuesday. I hope you have a wonderful, wonderful day. It is raining here in Texas, so we are so excited. I'm sure there are people out there dancing because we have not had rain in a while, and I may get out there and dance myself. I'm just saying, I won't post that on Snapchat because I'm not ready to be, famous, y'all. But real talk. Much love to y'all. Be well. God bless. Thank you for taking the time to listen to Teal Time with Hope. I am the host, Hope Aguilar. Until next time, bye-bye.